News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. It has turned. A brand new Yahoo News YouGov poll where a month ago it was Harris was up by 5. It then went from, it was in the previous one, Harris had 50 and Trump had 45, 5 points. But now Harris only edges Trump by 2. The other thing is, among likely voters, it is an exact tie. Likely voters. And that's who actually votes. And I heard some of the pollsters in the past several weeks say that's what matters, the likely voters, not the registered, but the likely. The margin of error is 3 points. So that means you could have a Trump lead 49-45. A 4-point lead, it could be nationally. That is doomed for Kamala Harris. When you see what has been happening, when you see all that has been going on in the past several days, I think the hurricane is going to be the final death blow in her campaign. At this time, I've been saying for several days, being off, of course, Saturday, Sunday, the Trump rally was unbelievable. I'll play some highlights of that. But at this time, I say Trump wins, and I say Trump wins solidly, not by a massive landslide or any of that stuff, but solidly. He will win beyond an ability to cheat in any way, shape, or form as of today. One of the many reasons why is I love doing my yard work, lawn work, all that kind of stuff, and listening to Fox News and listening to Trump's speeches on the lawn, and I'm just like, oh, I'm in heaven, is Selena Zito is this reporter for the last 3 elections who've gotten huger and huger with CNN, Fox, and everybody, that she's the holy grail for Pennsylvania as a reporter for a lifetime. She was at the first Trump rally where he was almost assassinated. She was supposed to interview him afterwards. She described stuff, and it was very positive towards Trump, even though she's not a Trump this or that at all. This time around, after this rally, she did interview him, and she was on Brian Kilmeade's show Saturday night, I think it was, and I'm going to tell you right now, she thinks Trump's going to win. That is a death knell for her campaign. The lifelong holy grail of Pennsylvania politics, reporter Selena Zito, now says she thinks Trump's going to win because the working class people have shifted. I'll give you an example. The Philadelphia Inquirer, quote, in Deep Blue Philly, this story the other day says from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Deep Blue Philly, working class voters are shifting towards Republicans. Democrats have lost the most ground in neighborhoods where poverty rates are the highest, which could hurt Kamala in November. Her interviews are a disaster. 60 Minutes this week, and I'm going to play highlights. You're gonna be like, holy crap, it's bad, because they held her accountable. Reporter, I think Whitaker, let me see, I can't remember his exact first name, but he's a 60 Minutes guy, and he holds her feet to the fire. One in immigration, where over and over again he says, but the numbers quadrupled under your watch. But the numbers quadrupled. He kept going back. And then on her economic policy, she's destroyed. He says, how are you going to pay for that? And she says, well, behind the closed doors, this and that, when me and the senators. And he goes, yeah, but how are you going to pay for it? And she has no answer. She talks to this word salad. It's bad. And now she goes on this sexually graphic podcast with softball questions. And I think she's going to lose. I really feel strongly now that she's going to lose, and I feel that this hurricane is worse than anything you're being told. It is worse than anything you're being told. The officials are not laughing at, but they're like, these numbers are way low. The 230 plus bodies, they have not even begun to go through the mudslides to find the bodies. 40 people in one county gone. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be another 200 people on top of that, or not more. This is a horrifying tragedy, and Kamala is doing interviews, and now we have this unfreaking believable category 5 Hurricane Milton. The Weather Channel dude started crying. I'll play that for you in his forecast. And then another forecaster out of Orlando says, this is worse than anything I can comprehend. I'm at a loss for words to describe for you the storm's small eye and intensity. This is now the strongest fourth strongest hurricane on record ever recorded on this side of the world. The eye is tiny. That means hell and damnation, the worst of its kind. Tinier means super, super kill and destroy. It's the tiniest. The eye is tiny, all bold. Nearly 3.8 miles. The hurricane's nearing the mathematical limit of what Earth's atmosphere over this ocean can produce. The limit of any hurricane is about to happen in this one. And the first one is a complete disaster with a disastrous reply. So here's my questions. Do you see Kamala? Do you see a Kamala collapse in this last month of the race? Do you see a Kamala collapse in this last month in the race? And do you think Trump's chances of winning, what do you think they are right now? What are Trump's chances of winning right now today? Anything can change in a week, but I'm telling you right now, he wins solidly. I'm not kidding. And I don't have the freaking goggles on. I'm the one telling you don't put the goggles on. He is going to win as of today. There's nothing he can do that will make his numbers go down. He's done it all, and they've said he's done it all. Do you think there's any chance of Trump going down in the polls this last month of the race, barring some oh my gosh thing? You know what I mean? Do you think there's any chance of his numbers going down in this last month? And if you're a Democrat, are you starting to get worried? Truthfully. And it's okay if you're confident still. That's cool. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Lines wide open. Chime in right now. 800-288-WBAP. Do you see Kamala collapse this last month of the race? What do you think Trump's chances of winning are right now? And do you think there's any chance of Trump going down in the polls this last month of the race, barring some, disaster on his part? And last but not least, if you're a Democrat, are you starting to get worried? I would if I were you. 800-288-WBAP. Chime in right now. We got time to pop you on, y'all. 800-288-9227. Let me play you the first 60 minutes clip. The interview aired tonight, and let me start playing it because this is really bad for her. Listen to this.
My plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
How are you going to get this through Congress?
When you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. Their constituents are those firefighters and teachers and nurses.
She never answered the question. She has no plans. She can't tell you what she's going to do. It gets worse with illegal immigration. This was a bad interview for her tonight. She's not going to keep going. She's not going to go up, and she's probably going to continue to go down. I am not saying that just to say it. Joe, let's see, who is this? Joe. Yeah, Joe in Arlington. Hello, Joe. You're on WBAP.
Chris, so even if she goes down the polls and she makes a fool of herself, how are these people that have been affected by the hurricane as well as the one coming out? If they can't vote, man. I mean, assuming that, a lot of them are Trump supporters, which I believe they are.
Yeah, in North Carolina, yes. In North Carolina, yes. Huh?
How is this going to work? I mean, we don't have plenty of time, but I mean, if you're busy trying to survive, is it early voting? I mean, I haven't looked into it. Maybe you have. What polls? Where are they going to go?
I think you're right. And I think that's a good point. And I think this is like the next crisis, like COVID. But, look, you're looking at...
How about harvesting? How about Republicans harvest?
I agree.
Go get it.
I agree. There's going to be some changes to make sure they get to the ballots. That's a very good concern, but I'm not worried about that right now. I think because you probably still have 90% of the state that's not going to have trouble voting, maybe 95%. And I think that...
Okay.
If you look at the count, it's devastation and disaster. But the major metropolitan area of Charlotte, and I know that it's going to be more Democrat, obviously, and the rest of the area, it's in I think northeastern or Northwestern, but it's in a rural area, and that's Trump country. But you're not looking at you're not looking at 500,000 people that can't access the polls or anything.
Okay, well, I'm just saying because, in certain states, Trump just lost by a little bit. And by the way, I don't get shocked that much, but I've been watching video of the devastation. Dude, I'm floored. I'm floored.
No, this is apocalyptic, and Kamala and Joe are going to look worse every day. I'm telling you, this is worse than they even know. This is going to get worse every day, and they're going to get so blasted and destroyed. This is going to kill her chances of winning. Without the hurricane sting going this bad, worse today and worse in the next days and week, and then this second one, they're going to get punched in the face twice with a blow they cannot recover from. I hope so. I hope so, and I pray so. And one last thing. Yeah. Have you ever seen a hurricane go from west to east? It's been a long time for me, man. I don't know, but it sounds rare. Thank you, Joe, for your great call. Trey in Duncanville, you're up next. We got 4 lines open at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. More specific numbers from this Yahoo News YouGov poll that shows any lead Kamala had now wiped out. They're tied statistically among likely voters. Her favorabilities are going down. His are staying the same. They don't change ever. Bad news for her. And the interview tonight, 60 Minutes. I got another clip I'll play for you on illegal immigration. It's just as bad as the last one, maybe even worse, honestly. Same thing where he goes, but that's not answering the question. But that he says like 3 times, and she doesn't answer it, about illegal immigration being 4 times higher under her, and she can't answer why. That is next on the Chris Crock Show. 4 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3.
For years. And so I know this is not a problem that started with your administration.
Correct.
But there was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. As a matter of fact, arrivals quadrupled from the last year of President Trump. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay.
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers today, because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
We have cut
the flow of fentanyl by half, but we need Congress to be able to act to actually fix the problem.
Wow, huh? Ouch. There's more. I have another one on her. You've changed your position so much that no one believes anything. I'll play that for you in a minute. But these are all from tonight's interview with 60 Minutes. Her first real one, and it ain't good. Harris' unfavorable rating in this brand new YouGov Yahoo News poll. She lost 5 points from last month. Her favorables went down. Her unfavorable rating increased. It climbed to 49% unfavorable. It went from 47 last month to 49 this month. The generic ballot question was asked to the same people. If an election for Congress were being held today, who would you vote for, Democrat or Republican? They have consistently favored Democrats. But what this implies, since the Congress numbers show pro-Democrat and Kamala down now, quote, the lack of movement implies that any shifts in the presidential contest may have more to do with how voters specifically see Harris and Trump with how they generally see the two parties. In other words, the amount they think about the Democrats generically for Congress hasn't changed. But for Kamala, it has. It's gone down. That's consistent on one and not on the other, her. And it shows they see it has more to do with her going down. Not good news. She is, I believe, falling apart right now. And I think she's going to go down. I think right now, today, for sure, solid win for Trump. Not massive, but solid. And I think over the next month, it's going to get worse with the hurricane, the failures. Let's go to, by the way, the questions I'm asking. Do you see Kamala collapse in Kamala collapse in the last month here of this race? We had 30 days left, basically. And what do you think Trump's chances of winning are right now? And do you think there's any chance of Trump going down in the polls unless some crazy thing happens that really could hurt him? I don't see it happening. And if you're a Democrat, are you starting to get worried? I would. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 4 lines open, 800-288-9227. Trey, Duncanville, you're on WBAP.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, and I'm going to start with a sports analogy. 2 days ago, the University of Alabama was a 22-point favorite over Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. And 99% of all the people in Vegas said they were going to win the game. And look what happened. They lost 40-35.
Why?
Didn't see it coming.
Why?
Because they didn't prepare for the game.
Is Trump prepared for the game?
Well, I hope so, but they've got to go out and execute.
Is she prepared for the game? Is she prepared for the game?
But we as voters got to do our job.
The problem is,
if the players don't go out on the field and do their job, and if we don't go out and vote, we're not going to win. And I'm saying if we take everything for granted, like Alabama did, they're going to end up in the loss column.
No, I haven't taken anything for granted, but here's an example: the Poly Market, which is pollster Frank Luntz tweeted this out. This forecast based on placed bets, not polling, was Harris +4 just 2 weeks ago. And he retweets it below. Here's the brand new Poly Market poll. This is the betting that is being placed in the odds. Trump now has gone up 8.6% in the odds today from 2 weeks ago. He's now 54% chance of winning. She is 45.4. That's almost 10 points. So I think that's another reading of what's going on out there. So it's very interesting, isn't it?
Yes, but what I'm saying, though, that people don't go out and vote, it's like those players are not.
Yeah, no, you've already said that. And, I mean, that would be like Alabama. Yeah, but Alabama, when you're making the comparison, you got to say how Trump is like one team and how she's like the other, and you're not. You're just saying when Alabama played, they weren't ready. So, you got to follow through with, for your comparison to be a good one, I would say you have to follow through with and say why Trump is not prepared. So you're just pointing to a game, but you're not saying that the teams were like Trump and Kamala. So you got to have it matching, each team with one of those two candidates, and you haven't done that. So I understand. Don't count it up. I'm telling you, this is looking bad. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Here is the Politico today. Democrat reporting outlet. Trump is everywhere. Anxious Dems wonder why Harris isn't. She's had fewer events than Trump. She avoids unscripted interactions with voters and the press almost entirely. She spent 3 days, just 3 days of last week of September, in battleground states. So, by the way, I'll remind you this: when there's a dead heat like this brand new YouGov Yahoo News poll, that means Trump usually wins it by 2 to 4. So I'm not saying I am saying I think he's getting it as of right now. He's going to win by a solid margin. Did you see the show she was on today? And did you hear the Trump ad that he played of her on the show today? With the hurricane terrifying footage interspersed with it while she's on a podcast that's hardcore sexual stuff. I'm going to play you that, and it's going to shock you how sad she is. That, and by the way, I haven't mentioned this yet. Ted Cruz. Senator Ted Cruz joined me tomorrow night on the show at this very time. Tuesday at 8:30. I'll see you tomorrow with Ted Cruz here on the Chris Crock Show on WBAP. Coming up next, we're going to get into the hurricane failure. It's on Kamala and Joe and how it's going to affect the election. And this new hurricane is possibly the worst one. It looks like, as of right now, according to experts and forecasters, that it could hit the most maximum any hurricane can in the Earth's atmosphere. This could be the highest one made possible. Can't go any higher, possibly. That's next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93 at 33 after the hour.
Let me tell you what your critics and the columnists say.
Okay.
They say that the reason so many voters don't know you is that you have changed your position on so many things. You were against fracking, now you're for it. You supported looser immigration policies, now you're tightening them up. You were for Medicare for all, now you're not. So many that people don't truly know what you believe or what you stand for, and I know you've heard that.
In the last 4 years, I have been Vice President of the United States, and I have been traveling our country, and I have been listening to folks and seeking what is possible in terms of common ground. I believe in building consensus. We are a diverse people, geographically, regionally, in terms of where we are in our backgrounds. And what the American people do want is that we have leaders who can build consensus, where we can figure out compromise and understand it's not a bad thing, as long as you don't compromise your values, to find common sense solutions. And that has been my approach.
So how does that answer the question? You've changed your position so much that nobody believes anything. Well, I'm the vice president and I travel a lot. It's kind of the answer right there. It's amazing. This is bad. Definitely not good. Questions for you before we get into hurricane and horror and much worse stuff to share on that, unfortunately, and the failure of Kamala Biden on taking care of those folks. Do you see a Kamala collapse in this last month of the race, as I do? Do you see a victory for Trump like I do? I don't see a landslide, but I see a solid victory as of right now. The way this is all going and this hurricane unfolding, it is bad, and it's going to be so much worse. And their response has been terrible, and it's going to be even worse when you really find out how many more are dead and how this is responded. These people are talking, they're speaking out, and they're outraged, they're disgusted, and they're hurting. Wait till you hear some of the new things coming in today that are absolutely horrifying of what these people are going through right now. But what do you think Trump's chances of winning are right now? Do you see a Kamala collapse in this last month of the race? Not total collapse, but collapsing where she's going down maybe a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 more points, and he just wins solidly over her as I do right now. And do you think there's any chance of Trump going down in these polls in this last month of the race? I don't think so, because his warts are on display always, and there's not much you could do or say that will make him look bad or anything. Everybody knows what they're getting, and they also know what's good that they're getting, and that's what matters to them. And if you're a Democrat, are you starting to get worried right now about the presidential election and your chances? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That was another piece from tonight's CBS 60 Minutes interview with Kamala, and she just can't answer the questions cogently. So big problem, I do believe, for her. JP and Mesquite, you've called in at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227, and you should chime in too, by the way. We've got about 6 minutes left in this segment. Chime in right now, and we'll pop you on right away. JP, Mesquite, WBAP. What do you got?
Yes, I'm inclined to agree with you to an extent that I think Trump is gaining and maybe a little ahead right now. But I'm also concerned that Mitt Romney might have been correct when he said that a significant percentage of this country has their hand out, and they don't care what the Democrats do. And you couple that with the number of women that think they need to reserve the right to abortion on demand, and they don't need too many other people to join them, and they've got a significant percentage of voters in their favor. I worry about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that is your biggest worry right now?
Well, I know there are a lot of people that are concerned about getting checks from the government, and Mitt Romney said there was 46% of them, but
he didn't say that about this hurricane, did he? He would be dragged out and stoned if he said that right now. They haven't. I'm being serious for righteous reasons. So that may have been about something before, but here's what I don't know if you're understanding how bad it is. Let me share with you one of the many stories from the hurricane today. I mean, this is beyond the horror you can imagine. Grieving North Carolina families are forced to bury dead in their backyards as they blaspheme for hurricane cover-up, quote unquote. The official death toll, this is from the Daily Mail today, rose to over 230 over the weekend, half of whom were from North Carolina, but state and federal officials told the Spectator that this number is woefully inaccurate. Many bodies haven't even been recovered amid debris and flooding. There are also piles of deceased people who have been yet to be identified. They are being transported all over the state in hopes of finding open morgue space. Quote, according to folks on the ground, fire, medical, law enforcement officials, they're way underreporting the numbers. All the morgues are full, and they've hauled a ton of bodies to Greensboro, the state official said. People are starting to bury them in the yards because they have no place to put them. One individual in Asheville, when Helene hit, told the Spectator, it's so much worse than they're saying. I think there's a massive cover-up. There's more. In Buncombe County, Buncombe County, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. 40 people are dead in that county, according to the manager. Asheville, scenes of complete devastation are all too common. Flood levels in this state right now not seen since 1791. The community, locals have said their community was entirely erased. A whistleblower wrote to Matt Gaetz recently that alleges hundreds, if not thousands, of first responders and service members have been without deployment orders, with some waiting around in hotels that others have sat idle. I heard a victim on Jesse Waters' show the other night. He can't get a hotel room because when he went to the hotel, he lost his house. When he went to the hotel, it's full with FEMA people, is what he said. He has no way of checking into the local hotel because FEMA has taken it over. Here's another piece of this story. DHS Secretary Mayorkas admitted that FEMA ran out of money after it handed out more than $1 billion to give housing assistance to illegals. Washington Free Beacon got a picture of Mayorkas. They snapped a picture of him shopping in a luxury department store in D.C., allegedly on October 5th, which would have been during the peak of the Helene rescue effort. So when you have people digging up graves for their own people in the backyard now, that's bad. That's bad. I appreciate your call, though, and I don't think people are concerned about handouts right now, dude. People are not concerned about handouts right now. It took 5 or 6 days to deploy the 82nd Airborne when they're an hour from where this disaster was. 5 days. And according to everybody I've heard on Fox News, they're perfect for this. They could have been there 5 days earlier. They weren't. I'm going to pop on Bob in Arlington real quick. Is that okay? All right, Bob, Arlington. Hello, WBAP.
How you doing, Chris? You
good,
sound
sir.
good. I like what you have to say. Let me just tell you, Chris. Trump. Now I know you're going to think this is crazy.
It's fine. Go ahead.
Trump's going to hit 300 on the
electoral map.
College.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going to do. That's going to happen. She is really afraid right now. She's doing everything that she can to kind of keep things squashed and fool people, but people are not listening to that. They know what she's up to.
She really needed that second debate with him, didn't she?
Well, I think if she had the second debate, he might have creamed her. But here's the deal.
No, but she needed it. She needs it because she needs something to change this game. She's not willing to stop hiding and go to these mainstream interviews. She did her first real one, in my opinion, just now, and it's a disaster. I mean, I'm going to play more sound bites of it coming up next. It's a disaster. It's bad.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
The first question that I believe it was ABC asked her was, were you better off now or 4 years ago? She never answered it.
You mean in the debate?
Okay. In the debate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They asked her again today about several other questions, and she went all the way around it. Now, if you're dumb enough to believe that what she's I'm sorry, sir, the BS that she's giving you about an answer, you're living in another world.
There's a lot of stupid people out there, sir. There's a lot of dumb people out there that are exactly what you just said. They watch it and they go, "That's an answer. It's fine."
I had a lady tell me, "This lady just tells the truth." I thought, "Ma'am,
hey,
where are you been?"
You're not going to get her to change her mind.
No, I'm telling you, they're not going to do that. They don't care either. Yeah. You know what? Mark Levin, you and the whole darn bunch have got things straight, and you need to keep on hammering.
I appreciate. Thank you. Coming up next, I really do appreciate your call. We're gonna do this a little later. I guess we'll do the hurricane. I'm gonna tell you right now. She was on a show today on a podcast called "Call Her Daddy," and the excerpts from this say, for example, in June 5th, 2019, quote, "The girls are discussing shower sex Panic boners and slut camp. Yes, you heard that right. Welcome to the slut camp, where you will learn how to conceal the slut and trick your man into thinking you are wifey material. Everyone deserves a slut phase with no repercussions. They also talk poop fetishes and where they originated, army bases, ? Embarrassing things, B words, plural for women, B words are doing on Instagram. And last but not least, Alex, I guess the host, tells a tragic tale involving her a-hole, a penis, and a cheating scandal. She was on that show today. And we'll play excerpts of that in a little bit. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But I just, this is, this ain't good for her. And when I come back, I'm going to play you the Trump commercial. He literally took an excerpt from that interview of Kamala having fun and laughing with a woman who talks about slut camp. And it plays it in between, interspersed with the victims and what they're saying right now in North Carolina. That's what she's doing while this is going on. Not good. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'll play that for you coming up next. Then we shift to the hurricane on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Chris Crock Show. Okay, I want you to hear a Trump super PAC new TikTok ad that is also on Twitter. It shows this interview today where she's having Kamala gave an interview with Call Her Daddy podcast. I told you it was talking about slut camp, just vile sexual stuff. And that's fine. They can do what they want. Welcome to Slut Camp was one of the episodes they had there talking about many graphic sexual things. And I read it in the last segment because I wanted you to hear how bad this gets with this show. Well, I mean, you know, that's your business. I'm just sharing that she went on that show today. And meanwhile, people are dead, dying, piling up bodies, running. There's people are digging their own graves in their own property now, as I shared with you from the Daily Mail story today. And we're going to get into the hurricane full bore next, but I want to play this commercial from the Trump super PAC, interspersing this interview where they're in this, you know, wealthy woman's home and they're having this podcast. She's in a T-shirt or a hoodie, and Kamala's sitting there dressed all up, and she's having fun, girl, you know, having their fun, and interspersed with these people saying they're dead, they're drowning, their house has been ripped apart, and here, this is quite a contrast. They're showing the video of a house just being taken away and being broken up as it's being taken away in floodwaters, interspersed with today's commercial. This is what she was doing today. She was on a podcast with these people. At least that's what she's been doing during the storm.
What made you want to do Call Her Daddy today?
Well, I think you and your listeners have really got this.
You shouldn't have been there. None of us should have been there.
Communicate with people is to be real, you know, and to talk about the things that people really care about. Our show is really about your listeners. And I think especially now, this is a moment in the country and in life where people really want to know they're seen and heard and that they're part of a community.
Everything's gone. It's all gone.
And so I'm really glad to be with you.
And then it says she doesn't care at the end. I'm telling you, this is a bad look. It's a bad look. You're in a rich woman's house talking with a woman who talks a lot of graphic sexual stuff, and these people are in hell. Where are you? Now you see this unbelievable hurricane barreling down with a tiny eye, which means one of the meteorologists in Orlando said tonight it's reaching the level that is not possible to go past for Earth. The literal power and level and scope of this hurricane. Ted Cruz is on Fox News right now. He is coming on my show tomorrow at this very time. He and I will be talking. So tune in 8:30 tomorrow for my interview with Ted Cruz of the Chris Crock Show on WBAP. Here's the Kamala slam for her Call Her Daddy podcast. Our number, by the way, here on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now about how you feel about her going on this show. And that's what she's focused on when people are dying, dead, or burying their dead in their backyard. They haven't even begun to be able to go through the mudslides, debris. You're looking at rivers of mud and debris that come down and drown you and kill you, and you're in that mud. Maybe you're 5 feet down. in a lake of frozen mud now. During the interview with the sex podcaster, Harris praised the podcast for, quote, talking about the things that people really care about, especially now it's a moment in the country and in life where people who really want to know what that they're seeing and heard and that they're part of a community. So Trump campaign ad that I just played for you says people have lost everything, the graphic says. One guy says people have lost everything. Another one said there's nothing here. That was in Swannanoa, North Carolina, which is one of the worst hit towns. It was 8 or 9 days until they saw the first FEMA management aid drop. Wow, 8 or 9 days. And then you have a battle royale with, it was funny because Kamala tweeted out a quote of Tom Tillis, U.S. Senator. Look at this. You're not going to believe this. She tweeted out a quote with Tom Tillis in his picture. He's the Republican senator from North Carolina. The last thing victims of Helene need right now is political posturing, finger pointing, or conspiracy theories that only hurt the response effort, is what he said. She screen grabbed that, put his face on there in a positive way, and retweeted it as saying, I'm not doing this. Tom Tillis then replied, VP Harris, I was talking about politicians like you, all caps, using this disaster for political posturing, claiming to be, quote, working around the clock while you don't even plug in your headphones for a staged photo op. Where were you, all caps, as Fort Liberty troops were standing by for days? That's the U.S. Senator from North Carolina where this happened. Look at that. She tweeted him to show how awesome he is and how right he is, and he says, that's you. That literally is the tone deafness of this campaign. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show at News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3, hurricane failure. Daily Mail tells you that grieving North Carolina families forced to bury dead bodies in their own backyard as they blast FEMA for hurricane cover-up. New York Post says FEMA abandons devastated North Carolina residents because it can't drive around a road closed sign. Nobody's been bringing in supplies except civilians. CNN, private helicopter pilots band together to help hundreds of hurricane victims. And then now we have Hurricane Milton, which literally is looking like it's going to go to the very top limit of any hurricane can go on this planet, according to the meteorologist in Orlando. All that is next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227.